Hello and welcome to another episode of NRG Insights. At the moment, for those that are following avidly, we are doing a Rising Stars series. The reason for that is I thought it was really interesting in regards to kind of pain points of our customers and people in the industry, especially whether that be residential, commercial, lending, broking, is that we are struggling to get young blood into the industry, and we are struggling to kind of break the barriers as to why those barriers are there. So this series is about people that are kind of coming up through the ranks at the moment, asking them their opinion, and and kind of watching them flourish as well, which I think is quite interesting. So today I've got Lloyd from Assetz Capital. Thanks for joining me, Lloyd.
Hey Marcus, thanks for having me.
No problem at all. And you are highly recommended to come on as well. I had two recommendations for you, so you must be doing something right. So talk to me about how you've got to where you are at Assetz Capital now.
So I started at Assetz about 6.5 years ago. I came in as a relationship support assistant, essentially supporting the team that support the relationship directors. So the support team.
Support.
Yeah, that's it. And then over the years, worked my way up to case manager. So ultimately looking after my own RDs. And then back in August last year, I jumped over to the origination side of things and started on the new business team. So now I'm dealing with sort of inbound inquiries, structuring them, sort of shaping them, getting them past credit, and in some cases presenting to credit committee and sort of really working alongside the relationship directors. I'm not quite a relationship director at the moment, but that's the plan.
It's funny actually, because you call yourself a case manager, and everyone's title's different. And it sounds like you do so, it's so much more than a case manager, much the same as when you take that step into the upside. It's so much more than what you're doing. I wish everyone in this industry would all have the same titles for everything.
Yeah, I agree.
Because, a case manager and a broker could be someone who's just left school, whereas you are, solving high-level dev problems, and you've got the same title. But it's interesting because then it doesn't matter what company you go to, even like when you get to relationship director, lending director. There's so many different titles for so many different jobs. I think we should just have 5 tiers and everyone know where they are.
No, I agree. Yeah, so it's case manager and other firms might be completely different, and I think they are. It is a completely.
They are massively. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's sort of been the story so far.
Good. So what got you into it? Talk to me about how was it? Because obviously the as we discussed offline, the biggest barrier is trying to get young people to come in. So talk to me about how that happened and how you sort of climbed the ladder.
Of course, yeah. So I think as anywhere, you got to go in at the bottom. Even if you're a graduate, you sort of think you're going to go straight in.
Mid-tier, no.
You go into the real world and you learn very quickly. It doesn't work like that. So I came in basically as a junior, I remember drawing C-bills specifically, spending the whole day doing scanning. And you sort of stand and you think it's very disheartening, but it's the jobs that need to be done to ultimately get the money out the door to fund projects, because without the legal documentation being sorted and stuff, I
think as well there's just that element of showing willing when you first start, right?
Yeah.
Some of the jobs are shit, right? We know that.
Yeah.
Not every job is super exciting, but CEOs also have to do shit jobs.
Absolutely.
Not everyone is stuck on that doing the amazing thing, but especially when you start out, right? Because the guys that won't have done that scanning won't be where you are now. So
exactly.
There is that element, right?
Yeah, and you've got to sort of prove yourself. That's what it comes down to. Are you really willing to do all of this, as you call it, the crap jobs, to sort of earn your place to do the better jobs, as you want to say. So that's sort of how I started, and then sort of got promoted to relationship support manager. That was the job at the time. So that was one step up, and then I sort of went from there really. And I think, in my opinion, it's all about attitude. It really is, and it's not believing you're above any job. You've just got to get on with it. And I think that's my motto. Just do it. Don't complain.
I don't think you can have just do it. I think someone's nicked that. I think that might be Nike's.
You're right. Yeah.
But you're right. It's really hard, isn't it? Because I do think I kind of feel like I'm banging the same drum every week about this one, but there is an attitude of instant gratification now. There is an element of seeing, you're surrounded by social media where people are supposedly successful really quickly. But it's just hard graft, right? It's hard to get further. It's not what we see on the internet. And there are youngsters now that are growing up with it. My kids particularly, I see it all the time. They can't understand why we're not rich because I work. Like it's because you're not. That's not how the world works. But
exactly.
how was it? How was it getting in? Were there any kind of barriers for you in regards to? Like, I knew you wanted to be in financial services, right? Or you
I did,
knew
yeah.
that? Because
So
a lot
what
of
I
people fall into
studied,
it.
yeah. So I studied, obviously I studied business finance. So it was always an aspiration to do. I then decided, I actually did recruitment when I first
Oh,
finished university. Did that for
anything would
18
have seemed better after that.
so did that for 18 months and then decided I want. So it was good. Gives you thick skin, gets you,
Yeah,
the target.
resilient. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I decided to go off to Australia for a couple of years, which I did, which was brilliant. Coincidentally, I was actually working on a lot of building sites out there, just doing agency work,
Oh yeah.
which is actually fitted in quite nicely with what I do now with the development finance. So,
Yeah, yeah.
again,
Well, there's an
another,
element to get a bit of a broad range of understanding, isn't it? So you can speak
yeah.
to a developer like, okay, I understand how sites work. Do you know what I mean? I understand the like delays and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, so that was that. I came back, and then I think I had a choice of either going to London, which once upon a time was the only place you could work in finance, which isn't
Yeah.
the case at all anymore.
Yeah.
And it was either London or Manchester, and I chose Manchester just because at the time I just come from living in a major city, Sydney. So I've done that experience. I don't. Well, to be fair, Manchester is pretty.
Yeah, it's still good. It's the other city. It's good.
Yeah, and I think a lot of lenders are coming up to Manchester. So I moved up here, just moved up, and then I haven't looked back. I've been here living in Manchester over 6.5.
Where were you originally then? If it was not London, where were you? Where were you based before Australia?
So I'm from Portsmouth originally.
Oh, okay. So my neck of the woods.
Yeah, not far from you. That's right. So I went away to university in Brighton. Worked in Brighton after university in recruitment. Then went from there to
The
Sydney.
only thing you're really missing now is the sunshine. Although
I
I
am,
was the other week and it was really sunny.
I got sick of the sunny beaches, so I thought, where can I go?
Yeah. Yeah, get rid of
Northwest.
Bournemouth, take it back to Manchester. A bit of rain.
That's it. So yeah, moved up here, and then sort of just got the job. And at the time, it was particularly difficult because if you imagine, I've gone from, in the eyes of some employers, laying on a beach in Australia for 2 years.
Traveling.
It wasn't as competitive as some of perhaps the other candidates going for the jobs.
How did you get over that? Was it
Well,
just a case of just keep banging the drum?
If I'm completely honest, I had to take a perhaps in my head a lower job than I wanted to take, and that's what you have to do. You can't just walk in. So I had to take a hit essentially and say, right, this is
It's a mental hit, isn't it? Because actually, your worth is very difficult to track.
Yeah.
I tell us on YouTube all the time. Know your worth. Your worth as a new employee somewhere where you haven't got experience is very hard to. You've got to figure in your head, right? And you've got to figure that you're capable of. Sometimes you do have to take that bit of a mental knock, don't you? So,
yeah, and it's all about the long game. And when I say long game, your 5-year plan. And if I think back to 5 years, it's really worked out. And you go in at this level, and it's all about making sure there's scope to grow. And I knew coming in when I started, I was always scoping out the jobs and what was what, and I knew, I didn't really know what a relationship director was. I had no idea.
Most of the titles we're all clueless about.
They are made up. It's so that's how I had to do it. Take a sort of step down from what I thought I wanted, and then I had to sort of work up from there. And I think that's most people's story. It's very rare you go straight.
Most successful people's story. You'd be surprised how many people won't do it. I think because you're in it, you see it. But obviously, from the outside looking in, I would love to recruit more young blood into the industry. We genuinely struggle with people, wanting a 45-50% pay rise in there because they've worked somewhere 10, 11 months, or they suddenly want a promotion because they've been there. So that long game that you're talking about that's you being very good at what you do. That it isn't like across the board at the moment. It'd be great if it was. And I also understand that the long game is very hard to think about when you're 20.
You went on holidays now, don't you?
Exactly.
No, that's it. But I think it's about the trick to me it was always about getting your job done, get the job you're employed to do, get it done properly, and then a big factor in helping me get to where I am is mentoring. I think that's so important. It doesn't cost. It's an hour a month. You can literally. So I've had mentoring with senior credit managers, with relationship directors officially, and then there's a lot of the other credit managers and relationship directors. Without even agreeing, it become my mentors. I just ring them up unannounced and ask.
Yeah, do you know what? I always say that about people. I'm like, you're my mentor, you don't even know it.
Literally,
I'll phone you and I'll have advice from you, and you can't put the phone down because you're a client. And,
I see they're available. I see they're available on Teams and ring them just unannounced.
Exactly.
You're right.
You're right in what you say there. You don't have to wait for that to be a mentorship program. But you're surrounded by great people, right?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
To utilise all of that is the difference maker. All I'm hearing, and I will get this at the end of this series, I'm going to put it all together because I'm hearing the same thing from the young guys who are becoming more successful. It's like they're willing to learn off of people. You're surrounded by good people, like utilize it. I think it's mad that we don't know what we don't know, at the beginning.
Yeah, and I think it's about not trying to be the most knowledgeable in the room and dropping your ego and actually going, I've no, being in a meeting. The real test is when you're in front of an experienced borrower, broker, or a senior credit manager, and then you realise actually you don't know anything, but you do.
But that's cool, though, isn't it? It's not you're the biggest fish in the pond. You're in the wrong pond, right? You can't
exactly.
You need to be threatened, especially as you're starting your career.
Exactly, and I think that's another thing. It's saying I don't understand what you're talking about, rather than nodding and going along with it. Say I don't have a clue what you're talking about. Can you explain it? And even if I explain it and you don't understand, say sorry. Can you go through that again? Even with the solicitors, you can come across all sorts of technical jargon and stuff, and you've just got to sort of really make sure you understand it. And one rule I have is I never send an email unless I understand what I've written, because sometimes you can regurgitate what you've been told by somebody else. I never do that. So I'm that person that's like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And you have to do that, because if you get a phone call and they ask you what the email you've just sent, you need to be able to answer it.
But it's twofold, isn't it? And also you're learning. So you can explain to that person, but also, and you might find a way, because lawyers are great at tying you up in legal jargon. And actually the beauty of sales, which we will go on to in a minute, because the one thing that really interests me is your move from kind of operations to sales. People. But the beauty of sales is being able to explain something to everyone, from the builder to an architect to a developer to a solicitor. It's the magic of making everything layman's terms is actually what sales is about, because no one wants to feel like an idiot not understanding stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's all that test of and it is a very lawyer thing to kind of I know more than you, when actually just tell me what you know.
That's it. Exactly.
So talk to me about this is the interesting bit, and I know we've talked a little bit offline about it, but you work your way up on the operations side. You feel like you're maybe more suited skill set wise, and as you get older, your skill set does change a little bit. You want to kind of move on to the sales side. So how has Assetz helped you with that, and what have you done to make that transition?
Yeah, so as I say, so I report into, at the time I was reporting into Irene, who's our Chief Commercial Officer.
She's amazing, Irene.
In my mini-meet, she said, we're looking at, how do you feel about sort of going on to the new business team? It's an opportunity. We want to really focus on the new inbound inquiry.
Did they ping you for that, or were you already kind of thinking about it, or did they?
I was already thinking about it. It's brought up in a lot of my our mini-meets, our appraisal, we call them. So. And I said, yeah, I'd love to. And I've always been like that. Yeah, I'll give it a go. What's the worst that's going to happen? I come back to operations. You're not going to fire me. You just got to think like that. So I said, yeah, let's go for it. Come on it. Dealt with the inquiries and then sort of built my knowledge from there. But that's how they did it. They sort of set me up on it. And that was in August. And it's been a real sort of success since then. So I've learned more in the last, sort of 7-8 months on how to structure a deal than I have in the last sort of 6 years before that. And it's amazing how hands-on you.
Before has put you in such a good standing for where you are now. If you hadn't done the chip bits, or you haven't done the bits that maybe what you didn't want to do, if you hadn't done all that stuff, the bit that you're really clicking into now, and the thing you're going to be amazing at, is probably because of those 6 years of the stuff that. That just took that technical stuff that you won't learn if you want to go in at the deep end.
And it's understanding a deal holistically. So I understand a deal. So I used to get past the deal as a case manager from, I don't know, let's say from when a decision in principle was issued. And then the RD would run with it on the credit side. I'd be completely oblivious to what was going on there. Then I would be running with it, KYCs and the legals and, the valuers and everything like that. It's quite a lot to manage on that side. So I can sort of review it on both sides of the fence. So, looking ahead in 5 years, where I'd hope, or even longer, I'd hope to be in a even more senior position. I understand it all. And that's the benefit of it. You'll be able to
do. Sorry, I butt in all this.
No, please do.
But you're right. You'll be able to then explain to a case manager why you're doing stuff as well. I think you'll become a better boss. You'll become a better manager. You'll become a better mentor as you're older, because you went through that process of like, if I'd known why I was doing that, or if I'd known this, it would have made it so much simpler. Like that constant mentorship actually, and it grows not just you as a person, but us as an industry. Makes it better, right? If everyone knows the journey. I had this conversation with someone the other day. I think I've had way too much coffee this morning. I will let you talk. Someone was saying the other day, if you don't understand the journey, like if if the underwriter doesn't know how hard it is for the RD to go out and win business, and if the RD doesn't know how hard it is for a broker to win a developer over, and how hard it's for that developer, if no one really understands, then your part of the journey isn't that important. But once you see how much effort goes into the whole thing, from case manager, from everything back end down to the guy selling at the other end, like it just puts so much more emphasis on the importance of every deal, doesn't it?
That's it, yeah. And it's like ironing out stuff from the front end. So I'll get an inquiry in, let's say, I don't know, I won't go down a rabbit hole of this, but you've got a complex structure, perhaps some of the borrowers live abroad and etc. Yeah. From the KYC side, I know how to structure that into it, as opposed to just going, we'll see what happens at KYC. Not saying all the RDs don't understand that, but it's it broadens your knowledge.
Yeah. It speeds up your learning as well, doesn't it, your end?
It does, yeah. So it's been an eye opener jumping to the other side of the fence as such. It's been really good. It's really what I wanted to do. I think I'm wide better to be doing origination, dealing with people on the front end. The idea of going out.
What are the challenges that come from that?
Sorry?
What are the challenges that come from that? Being maybe more junior when it comes to it. People are looking to take that kind of ops to sales. I know it's not ops to sales. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To that, what is what are the kind of the challenges that you come up with, or how did you combat that, if you like?
So I think the challenge is you really are at your comfort zone, which I think is really important to always be every couple of years at your comfort zone. And if you're too comfortable doing what you're doing, I think you need to sort of start adding stuff onto your day to day, etc. But I found it was, it's a complete different. You're looking at the deals through a complete different lens. You're trying to make them work, as opposed to being handed a deal that's been structured. Can you run with this now? You're structuring it, and you're dealing with borrowers, you're dealing with brokers, and you're sort of trying to keep an eye out for what's a good deal and what's a bad deal, and having
your commercial awareness has to be a bit more peaked, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you're dealing with quite a lot.
It's not coming naturally to you yet, is it? That is stuff you've got to learn. That when you look at something when you're a bit long in the tooth, well, we get it now. When something just doesn't feel right, you can't put your finger on it. You won't build up those instincts as yet. So you've got to really there's a definite focus at the beginning, isn't it? Like peaking your commercial awareness skills before they're natural.
That's right, yeah. And how I've sort of overcome him is sort of, Andy, our chief commercial officer, I have a lot of one-to-ones with him. He sort of goes through the structures with me, as well as a lot of the other RDs. It goes back to the mentoring. If I don't understand, I don't just do it. I ask, and you build on your knowledge from that way. So it's been a real good experience since August, and I've really enjoyed doing it, and look forward to doing it more in the future. We deal with particularly development. That's our sort of main area at the moment. We do refurbishments. We do across the whole of the UK. We got to 10 million, so we deal with some really interesting loans.
That's the thing as well. You're in an interesting part of the market.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's revert back to that about getting young people back into the industry. What advice can you give? I know starting from the bottom is a big thing, and that is going to be a common thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what else can people do to kind of maybe set themselves apart, or just get in, or get their foot in the door? What's the advice to kind of, young people trying to push into this industry?
I think I would say is get in the door. That's get your foot in the door, whatever that is, and whether it's an admin job, whether it's customer service. Because a lot of my colleagues started off in the banks doing customer service of some sort, working in the bank branches. You've just got to get in. You've got to scope out what direction you want to go in, understand exactly what they did to get there. And you do that by speaking to them, quite frankly. And 9 times out of 10, everyone's happy to do it. If someone come up to me now in the office who just started and said, "How did you do that?" I'd happily have a weekly, every couple of weeks have a chat with them. So you've got to sort of bulldoze your way into it. You can't sit back and wait for your boss to tap you on the shoulder and go, "Would you like to come and do this job now?" You've got to really push yourself to do it. And you've got to put yourself at your comfort zone. You've got to take on more work than you're perhaps supposed to be doing. Yeah. And you've got to do that to build up it. It's not being overworked, it's exposing yourself, it's exposure. So you build up your knowledge, and then your worthiness.
It's a very mature way of looking at it, because I speak to so many people who are like, especially people that want to leave, disgruntled. And they want to leave because they don't feel like they've been given the next opportunity. However, have you pushed that opportunity? Have it become, are you at that opportunity where you're doing it, you're doing half of it? Like, make managers' lives easier by already be doing the job. So when the job comes up, you're like, that guy already does it, man. I'm just going to pay him. You know what I mean? It's just, it makes their life easier, rather than going, I tell you what, if they got me that job, I'd be brilliant. Be brilliant, and you get the job.
And that's it. And it's also about, like, you got to play. You got to sort of play it. You got to say, if you teach me how to do this, I'll take them off you.
Yeah.
My current jobs, if your job is being done that you're supposed to be doing, no one's going to bat an eyelid. So, and then you build on that, and then you can present yourself to your boss and say, look, I'm now doing this. I can do it well. I've got a proven track record. That person there will back me, and that's how you do it. And you do that on a lot of different things. The next thing you know, before you know it, you're doing the job that's potentially above you. Yeah,
but it is true. You do have to put your head above the parapet. You've got to work hard. You've got to be. You've got because otherwise you're just another person that is turning up for work, doing their 9 to 5, and being content. And that's absolutely fine because some people stay in the same role forever.
Yeah,
But I cannot abide the moaning about I'd never get promoted when actually, when you look at you steadily go through the ranks, but 100% you know where you're going next as well, right?
that's right. Yeah,
You've got that plan in front of you. You know where you want to be. It's huge, and like I said before, you're a young guy, so you probably just think it's the normal, but it's not. I speak to hundreds of people who haven't really got a plan and wonder why their plan isn't coming to fruition. It doesn't make sense.
no, I get that, and employers have got, I say employers, managers, they've got a lot on their plate already. So whilst you get some managers that are very good at, developing their staff. I've been very lucky to have that here, but ultimately it is down to you. It's your career. It's your if something's working and you're doing it, they're not going to take you away from it. You've got to sort of argue it, and that's it. You're a product in the. I'm not going to go economics 101 on you here, but you're a product in the labour force. You've got to make yourself more valuable, and that's it.
That makes sense. That's really good. So lastly, I think I've lost you there. Can you still see me?
I can, yeah. You froze a little bit, but I can hear you.
Cool.
I can see
froze
you.
on mine. It's fine. I'll fix that in post-production. But so lastly, I've taken you along than I said I would. Character-wise or skill set or experience-wise, if you could nail down one thing that for young guys to kind of young people to work on or to think about when they're coming into the industry, what do you think the one thing is that maybe people need more of, or maybe need people to work on when it comes to personality trait or skill set to be successful in financial services?
I would say it is work ethic. It's a bit old school, but it is. You've just got to come in, do your job, do it well, and don't complain. Get on with it. Like I said at the beginning, just get on with it, and stay focused. That's the main thing. You don't have to be the loudest person in the office to do well. You just got to do your job well and be seen.
Thank you very much for your time today, Lloyd. Obviously, I will put all of your socials on our socials, and I will be watching your career closely as you rise up.